Okay, check it out. I decided I'd better slap the SWR analyzer on the feed line running out here to the Michigan cacti, because our backyard is exceedingly wet in the spring. Our water table is very high, and parts of the yard rise and other parts settle every spring. And I noticed this year, boy is it shaking, that the Michigan cacti rose about an inch. The whole post rose about an inch. And so a little retuning was in order. So I retuned the cacti. I trimmed the Michigan cacti. And I think I've explained before how at the top of the 15-meter radiator there's a spring right there. That allows me to put these hitches in the wire. It's solid wire. I grab a pair of needle nose pliers and give it a twist. Every time you put a hitch in it, it's going to shorten the wire and raise the resonant frequency, about 50 kilohertz in my case. And I did the same thing for 10 meters. I have a little bit of extra wire here for tuning purposes only. And you can see the little hitch I put in it to shorten the wire, raise the frequency. On 10 meters, it'll raise the frequency. That hitch right there, raise the frequency 100 kilohertz. So, every spring, as the yard changes, I come out here and I trim the cacti. I'll show you what kind of SWR curves I get. Probably I'll show that. I've done it before. So, I brought this as a pointer. This painter pole with that piece of metal hook duct tape to it, man, it's only 10 feet long, but that's your best friend for pulling pine tree branches out of the way when hoisting a dipole up into the pines. Or should I just call them antenna towers? Now I feel bad. I feel bad for Buzz 1151, and I feel bad for Guitar Zen, and I feel bad for Greg, especially you, Greg, because I brought out my favorite pointer to point out the hitches in the wire. Hey, Buzz, that pointer's for you, man. And Greg and Guitar Zen, since you poor souls suffer my garbage, and you're kind enough to leave very nice comments, man, you really don't need to do that. I'm not worthy. Okay, and this is where I ended up for this spring. It did change since last summer. The resonant frequency on 10 and 15 changed. The resonant frequency on 50 megahertz did not, and the resonant frequency on 20 meters did not, but 10 and 15 did. 15 meters, as you'll see, is very sharp. I don't know if that's a characteristic of a vertical with parasitic. They're not parasitic because they're being fed electrically, but parallel resonators. I don't know if that's a characteristic, but it's fine. So my resonant frequency on 50, my target was 50.1. And so that works. I'll take that. Now let's take a look at 10 meters. And I'm a CW op, so I focus on the CW portion of the band. The only time I operate phone is for video purposes. I'm just not a phone op. Anyway, resonant frequency on 10 meters is that. So that works real nice. I didn't want it. I originally had it set for the very bottom of the band, something like that. because I'm a CW op, and I mean that frequency there is prime territory in the DX part of the band, right? But but 10 meters is the exception. I can't wait till 10 opens regularly so I can operate phone, sideband. So I moved the resonant frequency up a couple hundred kilohertz on 10 meters. That way I can do CW without using a tuner, and I can use the phone portion without a tuner as well, for the most part. For the most part. Well, I can. I won't use a tuner, Anyway, so that's 10 meters. Let's take a look at 15 meters, and you'll see how sharp it is as I tune across the band. It's really tricky with this analyzer. It's that sharp. Okay, we're homing in on it now. I settled for a resonant frequency on 15 meters of 20. My target was 21.1 because, like I said, I'm a CW op. Bottom of the band is that. If I do want to wander up into the phone portion of 15 meters, though, I can go that far. I'm okay with that without using a tuner. 1.6, 1.7 to 1. At the 100-watt level, when my rig starts folding back power, that tells me it's time to engage the tuner. Or make another change. Anyway, so 15 meters. You can see I'm just rocking the knob back and forth, and you can see how sharp that is. I'm barely changing in frequency. Okay, and that's fine. Let's look at 20 meters. 20 meters is always just crazy broadbanded. Bottom of the band, 1.1. Top of the band, 1.2, So there you go. 20, 15, 10, and 6 meters, tuned and ready to go for the spring. 73.